did.
I was about to go into TV.
You were in Bowling Green?
No, I wasn't there yet, nor was I working TV in Jonesboro. I was selling pharmaceuticals then.
Oh.
I had a trunk load of drug samples.
That's another career I didn't know you had.
See, yeah, you put it out there. You never mentioned that you were a pharmaceutical salesperson.
Okay. Here's
what
one
company?
for you. Here's one for you.
And what were you selling?
I launched the drug Ambien, which is taken all over the world today.
And you are the culprit to spread it all over the place. Oh, my God.
And in those days,
I would have kept that to myself, man. Hey, man, we got to watch out. We got winners around here, man.
There are – so now, in those days,
Really?
This is a true story. Yeah, I lived in a house with 3 of my friends. We had a sun porch on the house that we rented. We rented this crappy old house. And there was a sun porch that the door didn't even lock. And on the sun porch, I found like an uncle of mine had an old metal cabinet. And I said, can I have this? And he's like, sure, I'll bring it to your house next time I come up see mama. So he brought me this metal cabinet, and I just drug it out and put it on the sun porch, and it was filled with Ambien and all this medicine, like
People
thousands
could just
of
walk
dollars.
up and get it.
Anybody could
And I
have
think
gotten
that's how I got spread.
Anybody could have taken it. I had birth control pills. I had everything.
I think that's what you talk about. Was their seat of recovery?
Who would have thought?
Well, I mean, not from Ambien,
we
but
would
maybe
be talking about you were the opioid spreader.
I was not. I had no opioids. I had 0 opioids that I sold. I sold a drug.
I'm so disappointed in you.
I sold a drug. I don't even know if they make it anymore, called Cytotec. Cytotec, and you took it with NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So Cytotec was...
Who would have thought we were going to talk about this?
Okay, this was the 90s. This is 25 years ago. It was a prostaglandin analog. I studied this stuff. I still remember it all, and that was that long ago.
That was like 97?
In 96.
6?
So what it was, when you take too many NSAIDs...
I don't know what you're talking about.
It can tear up your stomach, like Advil, anything like that, or Naproxen or Naproxen.
Oh, okay.
So you probably took some of that as a football player. Advil, yeah.
Advil. Mm-hmm.
So if you take too much of that stuff, it can tear up your stomach lining.
You can get kidneys. Something it can happen to your kidneys?
Well, depending on – that was cataflam and Voltaren. That was
okay. I see you're a specialist.
That was diclofenac was the drug that did that. That's how
I don't even know what that stuff is you're talking about.
I haven't studied this stuff in 25 years, and it just rolls right out.
Oh, wow. It rolls right out.
Those are the ones that – there was one study that said, and I'm not, if you're the drug rep for that stuff, although it's generic now. But anyway, I hope I'm not pissing off any drug reps or
Did you have a
doctors here.
territory? Or
I had a territory. It was more of Northeast Arkansas and the boot heel of Missouri. I went to
regional
Poplar
manager?
Bluff. No, I didn't stay long enough to be a manager. But I sold this drug called Cytotec, and you took it supposedly. It was going to be this revolutionary drug that you would take it with your NSAID, and then you wouldn't have problems, that it kind of lined your stomach in a way. I'm not getting too scientific, that it would keep your stomach from getting an ulcer.
Yeah. This is a break. This is a sports talk radio, so you are tuned in to Blaine and Mickey here on 104.5 The Zone. But I wanted you to finish just in case somebody turn and go, somebody else is on here.
So this stuff is going to be a revolutionary thing.
This is what you're cheating to all Lucas on his birthday?
Yes, Lucas, don't take this stuff. So this stuff, you always got a physician nationally who would endorse a drug for you and say, I'm taking it myself, and here's a paper I wrote and whatever, and they would speak for you. They hired this guy to speak on Cytotec. And at that time, you were supposed to take it like 4 pills a day or whatever. True story. This guy takes it. He had tennis elbow, takes his NSAID, takes his Cytotec, like made an appearance on behalf of it. And it turns out it was a phenomenal laxative. And this dude went and got his car and pooped in it.
Oh, my God.
He pooped his pants after he did the talk on the drug.
And so we'll wind that in not knowing that you were
I was 26 years old.
Pharmaceutical sale, yet asked you what you were doing at 26, like Lucas, since it's his birthday.
26 years old.
But someone who pooped in their pants was the Kansas City Chiefs. So we can move.
Our director of content steers the boat back into the water here.
If we see a reduced Andy Reid in size, we'll know that he had been to the bathroom.
But I did not know that about your career. So it's realtor, musician, radio host, associate athletic director,
real estate,
television anchor, realtor,
commercial actor. I worked in retail for years for Dillard's. I was a manager for Dillard's for a while.
And Blaine, you were in what, year 3 with the? Was it still the Oilers?
96. That was a horrible time.
But now you weren't 26 then, because you're a couple of years younger than my old self, I guess.
Oh, so yeah,
26. Were you a Titan yet?
No, I think we were still in 96. We were still in Houston. So that was our last year. We were
still in the Astrodome.
We were lame ducks. That's how I know what losing's like. I think we only won 2 games that year.
Oh.
And you talking about where I'm pissed off for greatness started that year. I was perturbed. Dudes was just quitting out there. They was like, yeah, well, we got beat. I'm like, dude, we got another half. So I would just run around and just start hitting people just because I'm pissed off. We sorry. I've never been part of anything that was sorry. Ever. And that was, sorry, 2 games. Go look it up. Did we win 2 games that year? They called it lame duck season. And it was because we barely had fans in the stands. I would say,
your last
10,000. That was the last year we were in the dome. Yeah, because we moved here in '97.
So everybody knew you were leaving.
You went 8-8.
No, we did not.
Yeah.
No, that's the first year here.
Oh, the last year in Houston.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we were lame duck. They gave it a title. Yeah, it might have been John McClain who did that.
What was it like looking in the stands and
it was like hello, 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 hello. Then it says goodbye, 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 goodbye. That's what it was said. Yeah, it was horrible. It felt like it was only 10,000 fans in the Astrodome. It was, man. Yeah, the Love You Blue days were done Donald. Yeah,
1996.
96, it says the Oilers were 8-8.
We were 8-8?
95,
so you're right. When did we win 2 games?
94, you guys were 2-14 in 94.
90. So you're right, Mickey. I can't.
I just remember
96?
that because
that's where 8-8.
That's where all the Jeff Fisher jokes came from.
Fisher took over in 94 when y'all were winning 2 games. He coached the last 6.
I remember that. 96, we were 8-8.
Yeah.
Oh, that was horrible.
And
it felt horrible because we didn't win. I mean, nobody was at the games.
And I'm looking at Pro Football Reference, which is my favorite website in the world. Blaine Bishop was 26 years old. I'm not kidding you. You were 26 years old.
I don't know. I think they got it wrong, man. You believe everything you read on Wikipedia, man.
Strong safety. You had 1 interception, with 6-yard return.
Well, guess who?
You had 1 forced fumble. I'd have to look at that. You led the team in tackles. You had 109. Michael Barrow had 106.
Oh.
You led the team in tackles.
Yeah. They still screwed me out probably about 50 tackles.
Dude, do you know who was the leading sacker on that team?
I can't even remember. I thought we were only won 2 games. So, in 96.
Yes. You'll never get this.
I'm going to go with Anthony Cook.
You got it. You got that. That dude, he only played like 5 years in the league. He led you guys in sacks that year.
Oh, at least I got that sack.
You remember that?
How do I remember that? And could remember in 96 we won 8 games.
He was 24. I'm sure you thought, we're on a rocket ship with Anthony Cook.
Did he go to South Carolina State?
He went to South Carolina State.
Yeah, because I thought he would, when we moved here, I thought he was just going to blow up like he was going to be like a staple. And then he kind of went downhill after that. I don't think he stopped working out. I don't know what happened.
6'3", 290.
He was a really good athlete, too.
5.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he lasted until 98. Then he played 1 more year in Washington, and that was it.
Yeah,
he played here till he was 26. Lucas 26 is just the number today.
So he got 5 years in, you said?
He got 5 years.
Wow.
4 in Houston. 2 in Houston, 1 in Memphis, 1 at Vandy, and then 1 in Washington. So he was an Oiler and a Titan.
He was a Titan? I don't think he was ever a
Titan.
No,
he was an Oiler and an Oiler.
Yeah,
he was an Oiler and then an Oiler, but he never made it to be a Titan. That's another one of those trivia questions.
Anthony Cook, man. I don't know how he fell off a cliff like that. He's a good player.
He had 4.5 sacks year 1. He had 7.5 year 2. He led the team. Then he had 0. Then he had 2. Then he had 3. And then he was
just
gone.
Fell off the cliff.
Yeah. He got complacent. He can get better.
See?
Guys got to keep working. I got 7.5 sacks in year 2, man. That's good.
Doing what I did last year.
Ain't going to change nothing.
Nah. Yep. Got comfortable.
Don't get comfortable, kids.
I always feel uncomfortable.
Doug,
that's what we're doing today since we're feeling real comfortable with Lucas's birthday.
That's
Watch this. Who was the first person outside of your family to wish you happy birthday today? I'm thoroughly disappointed in myself because I wanted to be first. I wanted to text you at 6 while I was on my Peloton bike or something, but I forgot.
No, you were up there. You texted me pretty early. Well, let me see. You texted me. I got to sift through all the birthday texts. There's just so many.
I tweeted. I feel bad that I didn't text.
Well, I tweeted too, but that was
tweeted and Facebook.
Blaine tripled down. Blaine messaged me on LinkedIn, tweeted me, and texted me.
Bang!
Nothing is worse than a birthday message on LinkedIn. I hate LinkedIn.
Blaine's
I
the only
love
person-
wishing happy birthdays to everybody on LinkedIn. People I haven't seen or talked to in years. I'm that guy. Boom, send.
Blaine, at 8 a.m., I think Blaine might be the first non-girlfriend /
Family
family that
member.
texted me.
Okay, check the timestamp on Facebook because I've got to be pretty good on there.
Oh,
I was super early on Facebook.
and I hardly ever check my Facebook. I
I did not
my
have a
wife handle
Facebook
that.
message from you.
no,
Oh.
I posted Chuckle
Oh, on
Nuts.
Facebook?
Oh.
Yeah, I
Oh,
posted
okay.
on your
You just
wall.
said, you said check. Oh, on the wall.
Oh, God, I haven't even looked at my Facebook.
His generation doesn't even go to Facebook. What
Yeah,
are you
I know.
doing?
I know. I wish everybody on Facebook every day a happy birthday.
Well, then
Yeah, I have
why,
like 50
why is that
notifications.
so cool and then not doing it? Watch this. And not doing it on LinkedIn.
I hate LinkedIn.
What?
I
Why
hate
is,
it.
Why is LinkedIn not
LinkedIn
cool?
is the LinkedIn of social media. I hate it. I don't want to read your study about how, I don't. If I was a real business person, I'm sure I would use LinkedIn more. But this isn't business. This is like Disney World, the sports.
Happy birthday is business.
I know, but
Oh man, he
some
remembered my
knucklehead
birthday. Well, everybody
sent me
knows
a
you
birthday
remember
message
birthday.
on LinkedIn like 6 weeks after my birthday.
Of all the strangers I've never met or heard of that messaged me happy birthday on LinkedIn, it was good to see a familiar face in Blaine in my inbox there.
I may just shut down my LinkedIn before my birthday.
Oh man,
And you know me,
you deadpan
there are very
face
few
too.
things that I don't like.
I know that's why this
I
is
hate
weird to me.
LinkedIn.
But man, LinkedIn is I like LinkedIn.
I just know, like, if they come in and fire me, I may need LinkedIn. So I'm trying to stay on there just so I can be relevant in business. But I'm going to have to invent some skills. Like, if they
Invent
fire
some
me,
skills.
I don't have
Man,
any.
you just listed all your skills since you were 26.
Well, I could still sell pharmaceuticals if they need me to sell products from the mid-'90s because I remember everything
Hey,
about them.
watch this. I don't know what pharmaceutical he's in, but he is the territory regional manager, and that is yours truly, Joey Kent.
Oh, Joey Kent's big time in that world.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he probably has the new Ford Taurus.
Yeah, yep, or a Bronco.
He better not get a Bronco. Joey Kent, we love you, man.
Man, we got to put out there, Mickey hates LinkedIn. What
I'm
social
on the
media do
record
you?
as that.
You know what we should put out? That's not
What
on the
social
script.
media do you hate the most?
Yes.
All right, that's going up on Blaine and Mickey Twitter. We got to take a break. When we come back, we have a guest, and it is Blake Toppmeyer.
We
We'll
gotta
ask
ask
him
him.
if he likes LinkedIn. It's Blaine and Mickey. Happy birthday, Lucas.
I love LinkedIn.
This weekend, the Titans travel up Interstate 65 and look to sweep the season series against the Indianapolis Colts.
Perfect. Perfect.
The Lee Company countdown to kickoff starts Sunday morning at 9 on your home for Titans football. 104.5 The Zone.
remember. We'll have to look at your home and away record. Maybe you won 2 at home, and that's what you're thinking.
Oh, man. All the seasons start running together. But I can tell you who was the defensive end who led us in tackles, though.
The guy who played 4 years for the team.
Random select memory.
That was very random because I knew you. I would have bet anything you wouldn't get it. Hey,
man.
Blake Toppmeyer is going to join us a couple minutes. Let's take a couple of phone calls on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Doug.
We had
and
social media hatred.
Yes, we do. I don't know if Doug wants to go that way. Maybe he's remembering past things from the Astrodome. Maybe that's it. Doug, what's going on?
Hey, I'm going to try to reel this in. Since Blaine's giving shout-outs to everybody on LinkedIn, Facebook, and look at his birthday, let's see if he can give a shout-out to the players that were checking out in the lame duck season. If you don't want to throw those guys under the bus, how about just name the position that it checked out?
I'm definitely never going to throw a player under the bus, but there was some guys that for sure checked out. I was like, what? So I just started running around just flying. I mean, you could turn on the tape and say, hey, man, did Blaine all of a sudden get real fast? He running by a lot of people.
I did the 2-3, man, that dude.
But I didn't know any other way, so to their credit, they might have been saving their body or something. I don't know, man. Yeah, it was some guys that definitely checked out for sure. Can't do it. Won't do it.
All right. We won't throw anybody under the bus. Let's get Mike in Inglewood. Inglewood always up to no good.
Because I can't remember.
What's going on, Mike?
Hello. Well, y'all were talking back at the top of the hour about the medication that acted as a laxative.
Yeah, Mickey was up there drugging people up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I was just caused me to think: is it me or has AJ Brown had a couple of his best games of his career since he had a little run in at Chipotle?
Well, he is a little bit lighter. I think he lost 8 to 10 pounds.
Sure did.
But no, he's back. He's getting back into form. Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, they didn't miss a beat him in Tanny time. So yeah. Hey, I'll take it all day long. As long as he's available on game day, he can do whatever he want to do. Play like that.
Sure can. What was it, 8 for 133 and a touchdown?
He had over 100 and a half, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, he looked like he's the number 1A.
That's a second-round draft pick. And this is a team that had trouble identifying an A-plus wide receiver. Because remember we talked about, who's the best Titans wide receiver? And it was always, Drew Bennett and Derek Mason, since then. And Dice when he was healthy. All respect to Dice. He just had some unfortunate injury stuff. But as far as more recent guys that they had drafted, Drew Bennett was the one guy that always got named.
Oh, no, you cannot forget.
Forget Kendall Wright.
No.
Okay.
Apollo Creed.
Oh, Kenny Brett.
Apollo Creed, man. He was pretty. He was up and down, but he definitely put on a show every now and then that was like, ooh. And then you thought you could see it every week, and it just never happened. But he definitely had some highlights throughout his time with the Titans.
He had every physical tool that God could give a human being.
Yes.
I mean,
he did.
Just ridiculous tools.
Yeah.
Ridiculous writing tools. That's Blake Toppmeyer. He joins us now. Hey, Blake, we got so many side topics going, but let's start with this one. Which social media platform do you loathe the most? I hate LinkedIn. I'm just going to say it right off the top.
Yeah, and if you don't like one, we don't want to pressure you into not liking one.
Right, you can like them all. It's fine.
Well, to tell you the truth, guys, I only have 2 social media platforms. I have Facebook. I have Twitter. I don't really use my Facebook, and I only use Twitter because I sort of feel like I need it for work. So
right.
I kind of would like to have none. If it were up to me.
Wait.
All of the above.
So does this mean that you're 40 and older?
He's laughing nervously.
No, if I was older than 40, I would love Facebook, right? That seems to be the crowd that loves the Facebook now.
Hey, watch out. There's some over 40s you're talking to here.
Hey, man, speak for yourself.
Yeah, Benjamin Button over here ages in reverse.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Blake Toppmeyer, our guest. All right, he wants to be off all social media, so do not reach out to him on Twitter at @BToppmeyer unless you have something nice to say. What's the latest on this Jeremy Pruitt and the lawsuit? I know you've been covering this really well for USA Today Network. What is the latest, and where are we on this?
Well, we're sort of approaching this October 29th deadline set by Jeremy Pruitt's lawyer, Michael Lyons, for Tennessee to settle or expect a lawsuit. I mean, Tennessee has shown no signs of settling. I think if you read the comments that I reported from Tennessee's general counsel in that letter, I mean, that didn't seem like a side that was ready to settle. And so I suspect, unless something surprising happens this week, that this deadline will come and go. And at which point we'll see whether Pruitt's lawyer was bluffing or not. He, of course, insists that he was not, and that Pruitt will follow through with filing this lawsuit. And I would think that he would, right? I mean, most people, when there's $12.6 million on the line, they're not going to go quietly into the night, and they're not going to go away without a fight. And regardless of what you thought of Jeremy Pruitt as a coach, he never struck me as the type of guy who was just going to say, oh, okay, you don't want to give me my money? That's fine. I'll just go home. I mean, this strikes you as a guy who's not going to be afraid to take off the gloves and pull out the brass knuckles. And if things need to get dirty in the ring, then so be it. So that's sort of what I would expect. And, as I reported on Sunday, talking to a couple of legal experts in this arena, basically three words come to mind when you think about what's ahead. Number one, costly. Number two, lengthy. And number three, invasive. And those are the three words that would describe a lawsuit if it is to come. And those three words would apply to both sides, both to Jeremy Pruitt's camp and to the University of Tennessee. I think that's what we could expect if this does indeed come to a breach of contract lawsuit.
Well, Blake, let me add to that just some quick questions here. Who has more to lose if you went through the court system? And then how do you see this ending?
I think probably Tennessee has more to lose. I mean, if you look at it from – I know there's an argument of, well, isn't Jeremy Pruitt burning down his bridge back to college football if he goes through with this fiery lawsuit? Well, I mean, my argument to that, I guess, would be, well, how firm is Jeremy Pruitt's bridge back to college football anyway, right? Like, I mean, Tennessee just kind of got the blowtorch out on Jeremy Pruitt in that January press conference, which I'm not saying Tennessee shouldn't have done. That's debatable, but I don't think Jeremy Pruitt has a great path back to college football right now regardless. And I don't think the NFL could give a hill of beans about this. I mean, I don't think, the NFL is going to be like, oh, Jeremy Pruitt's, alleging, X, Y, and Z about his former employer. The NFL, I mean, you guys know the way the NFL works. They're not going to care about that. So, for Pruitt, what does he have to lose? I mean, I think his reputation could certainly be tarnished if this comes to a suit and the discovery that Tennessee could get into. But I would argue that his reputation's pretty much already been trashed as it is, and he has a job. Now, the New York Football Giants are not playing particularly well, so how safe is that job? I don't know. But all the more reason he probably wants to chase his buyout money, right? Yeah. And so for him, I don't think he comes into this from a real great footing in terms of his reputation anyway. So I suppose I would say what's to lose. Now for Tennessee, I guess it depends on whether there's any real meat on the bone to these allegations that Pruitt's lawyer's making in this letter. If there's no validity, if there's no evidence behind any of these allegations that Pruitt's lawyer's making, then I suppose you could say Tennessee doesn't have much to lose. But if there is, then yeah, I would say Tennessee stands to have its reputation further tarnished, and if these allegations do have some meat on the bone, then then it could extend above and beyond Pruitt's football staff.
Like Toppmeyer, our guest. Okay, I've got one more for you, and I've seen other people ask this same question because there was a similar case, and the lawyer actually went to jail. Basically, it was extortion. Why is this not extortion? When you say, if you don't do this by this date, then I'm going to do this to you.
It was by a coach?
No, it was another lawyer. Yes, it was a sports case. And, Blake, I can't remember who it was now, but the lawyer actually went to jail.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not a legal expert, but I don't really see extortion here. I mean, Jeremy Pruitt has a contracted right to his $12.6 million buyout unless Tennessee can show that it fired him for cause. Now, Tennessee believes that it's well-founded here to fire it for cause, and it's said that from the start. They believe the evidence will support its decision, and if this thing goes to the finish line, we might find that a judge agrees with Tennessee. But again, while adding the caveat that I'm not a legal expert, I mean, Jeremy Pruitt was a contracted employee. This isn't. We had the case of a former Louisville basketball coach, assistant coach, a couple years ago that tried to shake down Louisville for some money, or he was going to go to the press and make all these allegations to the press. Well, he was slapped with extortion. But the difference there, from where I see it, is he was not under contract. Like, his contract expired at Louisville. He had no contracted right to anything. And so that equated to basically a shakedown. I mean, Jeremy Pruitt had a contracted right to a $12.6 million buyout unless he was fired in good faith for cause. And that's what Tennessee says it's doing. And Tennessee has said up to this point, it believes it can prove that it was right in doing that. But I think, I think the move here from Pruitt's camp is sort of what you would expect. And as one lawyer told me last week, this is basically a typical complicity war move that a lawyer would often do in this situation. I think it's clear from Pruitt's lawyer that he's trying to show that Tennessee was complicit in this. Now, whether he'll be able to prove that, time will tell. But I don't think it's atypical if your client was fired for cause of wrongdoing, for a lawyer to then say he's going to show that others within the organization, including members of the administration, were complicit in this wrongdoing. I think it's pretty much a standard move. Now it's just a question of which side has the evidence on their side.
And now has some of the compliance people been fired as well, correct, for Tennessee?
The compliance folks? No, I'm not aware of that. They did have their head of football compliance was moved along to another job, was not retained. It was not part of those January firings. Okay. But yes, there has been a change in the head of football compliance at Tennessee. I don't know that was turned a firing though, but we all know how that can sometimes work.
I was thinking of Michael Avenatti and Nike. Is the thing that I was thinking of, where he actually wound up.
I just kind of look at it in broad brush, just as posturing, and then now Tennessee has to call his bluff, and that goes on in the court system all the time. And when you're trying to get your money, so that's kind of how I see it. We're on with Blake Toppmeyer, SEC columnist for the USA Today. I guess next, let's go on to UT. And what did you think about Bryce Young and crew, who's probably one of the lead candidates for the Heisman at this point in time, and UT losing the game really in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a debate with some folks in the media in recent days whether we should be chalking this up as a moral victory or not. And I know fans always cringe at that term moral victory, and then they explain it as something else, which is basically a synonym for a moral victory. So whatever it is, whatever term you want to call it, moral victory or using some other semantics to describe it, do you think it's that? And I guess in some sense I kind of think it is for Tennessee. On the other hand, you look at the stats here. The stats say Alabama dominated this game. I mean, they had 33 first downs to Tennessee's 10. They had like 200 additional yards of offense, and some Alabama sloppiness contributed in Tennessee hanging around. I mean, how many games can we think of in Nick Saban's dynasty where his teams have just dominated special teams? This was the reverse of that on Saturday night. They had the roughing the punter penalty that extended a Tennessee drive ending in touchdown. They had a blocked punt. They had a fumble inside the red zone that ended in one drive. They had another fumble at the goal line from Bryce Young that they were very fortunate did not end another. So I think a lot of Alabama sloppiness contributed to Tennessee hanging around. That being said, if you would have told me coming into the game that Tennessee would have only been down by 7 points early in the fourth quarter, I probably would have said no. It'll be more lopsided than that. But these moral victories are a little tricky because if we remember, that was sort of being applied to Tennessee's loss to Alabama in 2019. That game was competitive into the second half, and there was the infamous Jarrett Garantano fumble at the goal line, and And, at the time we thought, like, is this a sign that Jeremy Pruitt's getting it figured out? Well, he really wasn't in hindsight. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Tennessee's a little bit further along than I would have thought they'd be at this point under Josh Heupel. I think Alabama, as we're starting to see, is not as consistent as a lot of Alabama teams in the past. They're not as dominant, at least on a week-in, week-out basis, as a lot of Alabama teams in the past. And so I think it was, for me, just sort of further proof of both of these teams' identity. But, when it comes to Tennessee, I think overall, even though the record's 4-4, and that's about where you'd probably expect them to be at this juncture of the season, I do think what we're seeing on the field suggests that, Josh Heupel might be exceeding the expectation through 8 games a little bit. I mean, he's not blowing it away, but I think he's exceeding the bar a little bit through 8 games so far.
We're on with Blake Toppmeyer, SEC columnist for USA Today. And I guess I'm going to move on to the Georgia-Florida. And first of all, who's starting quarterback for both teams? And Dan Mullen, it seems like the fans just, I don't know, they always disgruntled with Dan Mullen. What's his issue this year?
Yeah, Dan Mullen, he has a little bit of that Butch Jones in him, in that, like, when he's winning, all these things he's saying sound okay, but when he's losing, it's just like every time he steps to the mic, it's like, no, just cut the mic, just cut the audio. Nobody wants to listen to that, and Butch sort of had that quality about him too. Of when he was losing, it's like he was almost losing twice, because then you had to listen to him at the mic. And yeah, it's I think some folks are suffering from an overreaction when it comes to Dan Mullen. You're hearing the word overrated thrown around a lot this season. I suppose that depends on who's doing the rating and what the rating is. I still think Dan Mullen's a really good football coach. He's gone to 3 straight New Year's Six bowl games. I don't think overnight he's just become a trash coach. I do think that, however, he deserves all the criticism he's getting this season. This season has been a total bust for Florida. I think he was stubborn in not wanting to go to Anthony Richardson sooner. And I think at this point, he almost has to, but it's kind of too late to save Florida's season at this point. On the other hand, with Kirby Smart, he's got an interesting dilemma on his hands, as you alluded to as well, of Stetson Bennett versus JT Daniels. I mean, for the longest time, I was thinking Georgia cannot win a national championship in this era of college football with Stetson Bennett as its quarterback. But I don't know. I mean, he's doing everything he's asked to do, which at times is not a whole lot, but he's doing it. And what he's asked to do, he's doing it well. Georgia just keeps dominating one team after another. I think in some ways it's going to be hard for Kirby at this point to pivot away from Stetson Bennett. I'm beginning to think Georgia can win a national championship regardless of which of these guys is quarterback, because I mentioned this era of college football, we expect a 2019 LSU or a 2020 Alabama, but I don't see that type of offense out there this year. And in lieu of that, I think we could have like a throwback champion, which is really what Georgia is. They're like one of those throwback Alabama teams from the earlier days and in Nick Saban's tenure.
Blake Toppmeyer, SEC columnist for USA Today.
Hey, we've already seen one college football lose his job over vaccine refusal, and now we've got Brian Harson at Auburn, and he basically, I guess, won't say whether or not he's vaccinated. He had spoken a little bit on the subject. I know he actually had COVID, but now there's this deadline looming at Auburn to be vaccinated or not work there. This seems like, Blake, it could get pretty interesting unless he just comes out and says, I did it, and everybody can move on.
Yeah, and let's not let Mike Leach off the hook either, because he falls into the same category. Mike Leach has not said whether he's vaccinated, and now Mississippi, their public university system, has done the same thing. They've also set a December 8th deadline. So, yes, for both Harson and Leach, those are two guys all along that have been coy with their vaccination status. And up until this point, there was an argument about whether that was the right thing to do or not for them to embrace privacy over transparency. But now it's even more relevant because of this mandate that their employers have set And some backstory on that. The reason these employers are setting this is because they say they're federal contractors. They get millions of dollars of federal contracts from the U.S. government. And so this stems back to, the White House executive order back in September, President Joe Biden's executive order. So, regardless of, I'm not going to presume that anybody's going to take medical advice from a sports columnist. And, regardless of where folks land on the vaccine mandate debate, I think it's undeniable that this is bringing distractions for these football programs. It's bringing drama for each of these football programs. And this is an industry we hear college football coaches say all the time, like, can't have any distractions, can't have any drama. Well, Brian Harson and Mike Leach, they have the power to end these distractions. Yeah. If they are vaccinated, they could choose to be transparent about that in this drama, in this distraction, and say, hey, I'm vaccinated. I'm gonna meet the mandate. You don't have to worry about me. I'm vaccinated. I'm good. Or if they're not vaccinated, they could say whether they plan to comply with this December 8th deadline to be vaccinated. If not, what they are doing is they are inviting this to just be a prolonged distraction, prolonged drama, which is what we saw happen at Washington State, ultimately leading to Nick Rolovich getting fired. And if they're not vaccinated, they're essentially playing a game of chicken with their employer and saying, are you really going to fire me, or are you going to chicken out here? And, I can say, maybe Brian Harson and Mike Leach don't owe me anything. Maybe they don't need to tell me whether they're vaccinated or not. But if I were a player in that program, if I were a recruit, if I were a recruit's parent, if I were a donor, I'd want to know, hey, coach, are you vaccinated, or are you intending to play a game of chicken and maybe get yourself fired come December? I would think those people would want to know that. I think that's only fair for them to know whether these two coaches intend to be in compliance with their employer's policy, whether they already are privately in compliance with their employer's policy, or whether they intend to risk losing their job come December.
Well, before we let you go, we know we asked you a question coming in about your social media, but going out, who do you have in the World Series? Braves, Astros.
Guys, I'm a Marlins fan. It's kind of surprising they do exist. We're about 20 deep, and I'm one of 20 Marlins fans, so I have a hard time going with the Braves.
Oh, okay.
So I suppose I'll go with the Astros. As a Marlins fan, like I said, there's only like 20 of us, and we just have a hard time picking the Braves, I think.
All right, an enthusiastic Astros endorsement there from Blake Toppmeyer. Yeah. Follow him on the Twitter that he hates, at @BToppmeyer, and you can get all the latest from him as he covers the SEC. Thank you, Blake.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, sir, Blake Toppmeyer. When we come back, we give not actual footballs, but we award our ceremonial game balls to top Titans each week. We'll do that next. If you want to join the discussion, 615-737-1045. You can do it in Zone TV chat or hit us at Blaine and Mickey.
Witness the passion that unites us all.
Touchdown, Tennessee. Wow.
The Vols play here.
1045 The Zone.
What if I told you could go to a party with 69,000
King Cat. Yeah, you and Mike Keith's term there, Mike Keith. Yeah, the King Cat call. But he's been making some critical catches and been fired up. So I want to give it to him, especially since it was National Tight Ends Day.
Didn't he catch the 1-2 down the railroad tracks right down the middle? That was a great throw by Tanny.
Yeah, right down the middle against that cover 2 scheme. Yeah,
Sure
he got
did.
him. Yeah, so he had a good day. And then naturally, I thought Tannehill played. I thought fairly well. I think he's starting to get people are going to start giving him his just due. He's beat some elite quarterbacks along the way, 2 talented ones just here the last 6 days.
Yeah, two who people would have said maybe
That's
the
pretty
top
cool.
2 in the
And
NFL.
this last one for offensive player is a name we don't even know, and I couldn't even tell you his first name, but I know you do. And his last name is Hart. Yes. And I really want to give it to all the role players that came in and did their job and to enough, I guess, to win the game. Not to say that they, going to be starters, but this could be, something can catapult you, whether you're with the Titans or somewhere else, and you continue to do this kind of job, then you'll be able to be a starter in this league. So all those role players, we can go down the laundry list of those guys. As a former player, I really appreciated those guys because when they came in, they held the fort, and you have to show you believe in them as well, not just at practice, but also in the game to reinforce it. And that builds confidence for those guys who aren't out there all the time. So, yeah, I really appreciate the laundry list of guys and Hart is one of them, but since he's on offense, I named him. There's a lot of defensive guys.
It's interesting because a caller called in either yesterday or Sunday night during the postgame. Maybe it was yesterday on the show that the calls kind of run together. And he said, these guys played great. How long do you think these backups can hold up and play this well? I thought that was a real interesting question.
Well, typically you don't really know, but you would hope, sometimes you have some guys maybe get a scope or something. So you want to say 2 or 3 games. That's really, to me, that's 2, 3, 4 max because they can start exposing some of their weaknesses at some point.
The example for that was Borders. Borders played last year. You went back, watched the game. You said, I like him, but he's got some limitations. Now that he's got 50 plays on tape, people will scout Borders. And then literally the next week, they did things to him that you said, this is what they can do. And then the next week, the team did it.
Did it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if these guys had the same, issue. I just could see it. I think Borders is a good, solid backup in this league.
Right.
So that's what happens. That's why you're the backup. You got some limitations in your game. Everybody does, even as a starter. But if some of them are more glaring, put it that way. There's no perfect player anyway. Even the starters have chinks in their armor. So I'm just excited for those guys to get that opportunity. You're waiting for that opportunity. You're a special team guy the whole way, and then you get in the game and you perform well, and your team does well. So you weren't you were part of winning and not part of the process of losing.
It is funny to me. You mentioned Hart. Hart had not played in a game all year, and neither had Greg Maben. And Greg Maben played every play on defense. I think Hart wound up taking 42 snaps. And they're not in football shape. They were on practice squads. They practiced, but they had not physically gone out. And they both veterans. They'd played in games in other years. It's week 7. Neither one of them had played in a game this year. Maben played every play on defense. Hart played 42 with huge defensive linemen trying to kill him. Just a fantastic job by both those guys. Matthias Farley. Yeah. I mean, a bunch of those guys. Farley had a nose for the football. He forced a fumble and recovered a fumble. And
then Cruikshank, who did a great job on tight end. Kelsey, his last performance when he got an opportunity, didn't play so well.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I real quick, before we go to break, I'm going to give out my defensive guys. Long has been playing well the whole time, junior, and got to give it to him. He's everywhere. He's like a missile. He's like, he's sick and missile out there on defense. So I love the way he's been playing this entire time. But also I like the way Archer been playing, and he came away with a sack. He was causing havoc pretty much the whole day.
Sure was.
Archer. So, yeah, I like those guys. So I know we got to go to break. Special team is going to be, since I'm going to give all mine now, I'm going to just give it to Kern. Had 2 inside the 5-10 yard line, 3 yard
2
line.
2 to the 3. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty special coming off COVID and a groin injury, and you don't miss a beat. Yeah. That's tough to do.
Also holding all those kicks for Randy, who's been perfect lately, been hitting all his kicks, knock on wood. Needed every point that he got against
Very
Buffalo,
valuable.
and a nice showing against Kansas City, too. They just got him off Kicker Island a few weeks ago, but here he is holding his own. We'll hold our own for one more hour. Coach Mack said to join us in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll get deep in this Titans run. We'll look ahead to the Colts. We'll do all that more in about 25 minutes right here. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on the 3HL.
Oh, we got a big Tuesday coming. We are live at Buffalo Wild Wings in Spring Hill. Who's with us?
We are joined by the one and only Jim Wyatt, getting his Titans mailbag, see what's going on. And talking numbers, we got Alan Bell. Get it right this week, Alan.
He's right all the time.
He is, man.
I'll be in Houston. I'll check in from the World Series.
We need to know what's going on now.
I don't know about that.
4:45, wash away, toast. Don't miss it.
We'll see you there.
Today, starting at 3 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
this. And Blaine was like, yeah, I wanted to send you a text at 6 o'clock, Lucas, when I was on the Peloton, but I jumped on LinkedIn. I was like, you did what? You did what?
Yeah. Well, actually, LinkedIn, if you used it, Mickey, it automatically tells you whose birthday it is. So then I just did that. That was easy. So that way I could just keep on peddling.
But then it sends you like the canned LinkedIn.
Yeah,
it is
right.
your birthday, business associate.
Yeah.
I hope it is a fine one and enjoyed by all.
That is not
LinkedIn.
true. It just says happy birthday. And you just click it and push send.
Got a couple of those, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I sent him the beer with 3 candles in it. My picture on Twitter. You didn't see that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I texted him. So there was no way he was going to miss it.
No way. Other than family, girlfriend, and roommate, Blaine was the first to get in there.
Other than family,
of all the things,
girlfriend, roommate.
Yeah, that is one of my deals. I like to be first to wish somebody happy birthday. I love sending it like at 5 a.m. when I'm up and moving around. Like they're still in the REM sleep. I love sending it. Then they wake up just like, oh man, Blaine, wish me happy birthday. And by the way, everyone who is now following me on LinkedIn, since I've had like 30 people follow me and I have to accept them now since we've been talking about this.
I bet nobody followed me on LinkedIn. I bet nobody. I got 0 requests.
I loved LinkedIn. I love it. I love LinkedIn, man. Sometimes I try to figure out, like, how am I linked up with this person? Why did I? Then I have to go back there in history. I remember that person in college. Yeah. I think she typed up my paper for me.
Hey,
no,
man.
I wrote it. She just typed it up and put it up.
Hey, man.
Back then, it wasn't all this high level internet deal going on.
I could type in college.
Oh, I can type. It's just
I
like
could make it happen.
it took all my effort just to get the paper done. So, had some friendly help there.
Some friendly help. We could all use a little help. All right, Lucas's birthday. Let me ask you guys this. I saw this morning on
LinkedIn.
No, I did not. I've not looked at LinkedIn in so long. I have all the notifications turned off. You could be on LinkedIn right now telling me I've won $8 million. I wouldn't know.
Well, so everyone has to go to Blaine and Mickey because Mickey posted out about which social media. What does it say?
It says it's courtesy of our content director, Blaine Bishop. He said, director of content. I want to make sure I say it right.
No, I'm the EVP now. I'm executive director.
What did you just get?
I don't know, man.
Wow, but Blaine promoted himself.
Good. That's so good, right? I get to finally be, like I'm in the executive world now.
All right, Blaine is an executive now on the show. He produces. He's the executive. Lucas is the producer. Blaine's the executive producer. All I do is talk. My head is spinning.
Man.
What social media platform do you despise the most? That's our social media question for today. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or other, list below. Some people have checked the other box but haven't listed anything below, so we'll just use our imagination.
What about other?
I knew this was going to happen this way. Facebook is a runaway number one hated the most.
Is it?
Which I told Lucas, hey,
which is what you're always on and I'm never on.
I posted on your wall at like 6:50 this morning. I bet I beat everybody. He's like, oh, that's Facebook. I haven't looked at it in years.
Yeah.
So
I do not check. I probably check Facebook every quarter.
If you're going to be an executive on this show, you're going to have to do better than that. I'm just saying.
I know. You know why? It's all messed up because I made it. It was my personal, and then I attached personal with fans, and then I just said I'm gonna make it a fan page, and then now I can get unlimited amount of people on there. So even personal, family, and everything else. So I just said, all right, I'm leaving it alone. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
So once you get 5,000 friends on Facebook, you can't get any more. So it taps you out. So then
I had to change.
Then you have to convert your page to a different kind of
exactly
page. So that's when you're the hitman, you have to do that.
Yeah,
You've got
that
people who want to interact with it.
About 10 years ago, and then the intern just turned it into a fan page for me.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I was there that day. You were like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, give me your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gave it a 19-year-old kid. Just let me have your phone. There you go.
I was like, oh, thanks.
Facebook is in the lead, as I knew they would be. 63.7% of you hate it the most. LinkedIn is just a distant 21.5. If I could vote 17 times against LinkedIn, I would. And if you're like the inventor of LinkedIn and you're driving through Nashville, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I hate what you did, but I just hate it. I just hate it. And I know people, they get jobs and stuff on there, and I
can't believe you just despise LinkedIn. It's
hate it.
a shocker. Man,
Twitter's-
I woke up with a shocker today, and that is one of them. Man, I can't believe you.
Twitter 10.4%. You can mute accounts on Twitter that you don't like what they have to say. You can mute words on Twitter. Like if you don't like politics, or let's say you hated the Colts, you could just mute Colts, and you'd never see anything with the word Colts in it. So you can make Twitter sort of the experience that you want to have by muting words or muting accounts.
Yeah.
Facebook, though, you're just going to get inundated with everybody's favorite recipes and who they hate in the world and what they don't like and all that stuff.
You know what? I like Twitter, but I don't like when I make a boo-boo. I can't fix it. I can't fix my boo-boo. My typo, didn't read through it again and missed it, or, I wanted to change how I wanted. Can't do any of that. And that's the only thing. They got to add that. So all those smart, tech guys, or ladies who want to, make some money, go send that off to Twitter and you'll help them out. I'm surprised they haven't done it. Maybe they just wanted it to be like that. I don't know. I like that I can go and add people or correct misspellings or anything, Man, I'm like, oh, man. Sometime at autocorrection, you typed it incorrectly, just like here and here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's two different here. Couldn't you tell when I said it? It's two different ones. One that you hear out of your ear and one that I say I am here. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll correct you to the wrong one. It will literally give you the wrong spelling. All right, let me ask you this, Lucas.
And you know who's all over me when that happens? My wife. Man,
I thought you were going to say, like, there's one guy.
My wife
is
just always like, every time she'll, be 2 days late and be like, hey, I saw you. You don't know what word you were supposed to use? She goes, you are so, and we don't say dumb in our house. Okay. She just goes,
you big dummy.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. TikTok or Snapchat, Lucas? Which one of those? Like if today Blaine and me had to strap in and roll with one of those, what's the choice?
TikTok or what?
TikTok or
Instagram?
Snapchat.
If we could blast them both into the sun, if that's an option. But if you had to pick one, I don't have TikTok. That is one that I refuse to dive into. You're
26. Why don't you have TikTok?
I know. And maybe it's a detriment to my job in the world that we live in now. But like, I want to be able to stay away from some of them, right? Like they already dominate, our lives so much, especially in this industry. I want to have the luxury of being able to not have one in my life whatsoever. I've kind of ruled out Facebook, and I have not gotten TikTok yet. I think there's more I don't know. I think Snapchat, you can at least communicate with people, keep up with friends. TikTok is just, there's so much stupid stuff on there, like Pat Mahomes' brother dancing on a field or something.
Yeah. Oh, man, I have some friends of mine that really believe that's the problem with Patrick Mahomes. He's got too many distractions. No, between him, it's his family. That's what they say.
That dude,
like, no.
That's what I was going to say earlier. I saw this, and multiple people, I think I saw it on ESPN as well as other places. This was the lowest quarterback rating of Pat Mahomes' career against the Titans.
Yeah, 62.3.
You already saw that.
I thought it was like a 6.1. Maybe I read that wrong.
They had a typo, and they couldn't correct it.
Yeah, it was on Twitter. 62.3 quarterback rating. He was 20 of 35 for only 206 yards with an interception. Also had that fumble that Peanut Tillman Byard punched out.
Yeah. Hey, you got to be happy as a Titan fan to do that kind of damage to them. So, hey, man, I'm interested to see how good they are after this.
Yep.
And they keep thinking they can just flick on the light and think it's just going to happen. And they have some chink in the armor. They're going to have to commit to running the football on offense. They have better, to me, guys that are more fit for that. That will help them miss the pass rush. I mean, we look like we had, 8 guys out there rushing the passer. I mean, they're
4.
Good, but man, wow, they look like the 85 Bears out there, man. Richard did, and all kind of dudes out there in the fridge. I mean, wow, it looked like, man, there's no way they beating the Titans. So, yeah, but hey, wish them the best. But I don't even think they're gonna make the playoffs. Denver for sure is not gonna make it out of the conference. The Raiders right now look solid. You just never want to buy into the Raiders, but they may be motivated by their coach being fired, Gruden.
Yeah,
and they really like their new head coach. So, and then the Chargers.
The Chargers had a great start,
and they lost to them too as well. So, not to put anything, it's still Mahomes, and Mahomes is the most talented quarterback in the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers right behind him, and that's talent. I said they were the best, but talent. We all know Tom Brady's the best.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got a closet full of
big,
trophies.
huge win for the Titans. Now, let's see if they can regroup now and then continue this style of effort and play. That's been the knock on the Titans, really, if you want to have anything, is that they were inconsistent. And we've seen it this year, losing to the Jets, and then now we can say, oh, we had some receivers. It doesn't matter. You're still supposed to win that game.
Yeah.
So can we see them just steady Eddie play like this? That don't mean you're going to win them all, but you want to see this level of play and energy and commitment to playing like this every week. And can they do it? Because they could just really dump all over the Colts and just finish their season if they beat them this in Indianapolis.
Sure could. They could leave Indy up 3 games, or they could leave Indy up 1 game.
Yeah,
with a win or a loss.
And from Indy's point of view, this is a playoff game in their mind.
Yeah.
This is a must win for them. Titans have cushion. So do you play like you got cushion, or do you play like you have desperation on your mind? Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this with Coach Mack. Let's keep this Titans discussion going. He's set to join us next. Coach Dave McGinnis next, right here on Blaine and Mickey.
This Halloween, the Titans look to hang another loss on the Colts and become their worst nightmare. Mike Keith and Coach Mack have the call.
Okay.
Kickoff is Sunday at noon on your flagship for Titans Radio, 104.5 The Zone.
This
amplifies the true fact that it's a week-to-week league.
Sure
You know,
is.
it really is. I mean, when you lose a ball game, it seems like the whole world's collapsing, and when you win a ball game, it seems like the sun's going to shine forever. So, I mean, it's a week-to-week proposition. And so in the National Football League, as a player and as a coach, what you have to do, regardless of the outcome, is really objectively go over what happened in the game, good and bad, and then you've got to move on to your next opponent, because the next game becomes the most important game, and that's where we find ourselves now. And so after two very nice wins at home that I absolutely loved because it was jam full with people, and I mean, it was the environment, everything in the outcomes were as perfect as we could want, you know, for the Titans. So now we've got to go back to work. They already have flipped the script and get ready for a divisional game against the Indianapolis team that's a different team than we saw earlier in the season.
Before we get into that, Coach, I wanted to ask you, what was it like watching this Titans defense decimate the league's points for possession? The Chiefs are runaway leaders. They average over 3.5 points for possession. They got 3 in the game. What did you see? And I know the front four got pressure all day, and when you can do that, you can do a whole lot. But what all did you see from Shane Bowen's defense in this game?
Well, I mean, you know, full disclosure, I get to watch practice all week.
Sure.
All right. So Mike, Keith, and Amy and I, we get to watch practice all week, and I know what I'm seeing. And so, you know, I had an idea of what their plan was going to be going into it. And the fact that they used 6 defensive backs, you know, quite a bit in this game, but the multiplicity of personnel that they used, they were able to really do a lot of nice things and a lot of really nice, you know, little moves defensively with those coverage packages that really helped. And then plus, guys, you guys know it. I mean, our listeners know it too, because they're sophisticated football fans. When you can rush with 4 in the National Football League and put pressure, not just you can rush with 4 all you want, but you have to rush with 4 with pressure, you know, and to be able to get a quarterback not only off his spot, but be able to have those 4 people be in unison enough that they're just not huge voids, either inside or outside, for a quarterback to escape. When you can do that and disrupt the timing, and that way you can match up downfield and make the ball come out when you want it to come out defensively, that's big. And then plus, you know, when you're able to sack him and put him on the ground, that does a lot for you. So all of that came together, and that made me really happy, because you guys know how much I love really good defense, and especially really good defense against you know, a real challenging offense. And they did an excellent job, but they did an excellent job all around. You know, even when he did start to move him, they were playing plaster coverage and matching routes downfield really nicely. They spot tackled very well, because you know they're going to complete passes to the tight end. You know they're going to complete short passes to Tyreek Hill and let him try to take it. But they spot tackled very well. They put all the elements of it together that you work on during the week, and that's what I loved watching.
It was fun to watch. Coach Dave McGinnis, our guest, brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Need great health care coverage at an affordable price? Let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They got you covered, just like Coach Mack has us covered each week with the Mack Attack.
Yes, he does, man. We saw the King Cat come out there, as Mike Keith talked about. Great game plan by the offensive coordinator and Vrabel and everybody involved in that. That was pretty cool. But, man, has Vrabel ever thrown a touchdown? We know he's caught some as a defensive end tight end, but did he ever throw one? Do you know?
He was asked that. And he said no.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He was asked that in one of the. I think it was on his show. I think Mike Keith asked him that. He said no. You know that he's never thrown one. He caught a lot of them. Yeah. The thing about that game was defensively, Blaine, and I know you saw it immediately. You know, Steve Spagnuolo was selling out to stop Derrick Henry.
Yep.
He put everything in his basket into this one proposition: stop Henry and make somebody else beat us. And I think we can score enough points that if we can stop Henry and keep him from taking over the game and take over time of possession, that we have a chance to beat him. Well, because he was walking those linebackers up, toe to heel on that defensive front, and it was a 9-man front, and sometimes those safeties were 6 and 7 yards deep. We saw split safeties very few times, against the Kansas City Chiefs. And so when he was selling out to do that, this offense worked just like it needed to. They continued to hand it to Henry, but at the same time, when he continued to do that and refused to play any type of zone coverage, well, his corners can't cover those two receivers that we have out there. You know, they couldn't cover them. They couldn't cover A.J. Brown. They couldn't cover Julio Jones. You run play action, and then if you've got max protection like that, and they run those crosses across the middle, I mean, they can't stay with those big receivers. And even if they do, they can't contest them at the catch point because they both got size and length. So that was a beautiful thing to watch. It really was. And I fully expected Spagnuolo at some time during the course of that ball game to say, "Hey, I've got to start splitting my safeties a little bit, giving these corners some help, and see if I can stun it or do something to get away from having to play the run with 8 or 9 people." Never got away from it.
Well, Coach, you've been a head coach and a DC in the league for a very long time. I'm interested in, and this is a mature team, but how do you keep your team focused at the task at hand and stay the course? And not, and still pay attention to the details after coming off 2 huge wins in a 6-day frame. And, sometimes you want to sit back and take a breather and maybe don't sit there and watch extra film. How do you keep them attuned? Did you do anything in practice besides talking about it, or what would you do?
Well, Blaine, I think you can answer this very well too, because when you played, you were a leader in the locker room. It starts with the locker room. And it starts with the locker room. It starts with talking about it in your separate meeting rooms. That, hey, this is behind us. And you heard the players talking. I thought Kevin Byard had a great message, and he said it right. We really haven't done anything yet. We won a game. Okay, we won a game, but that's not, you have to win. You have to stack a series of games and stack a series of wins as the season progresses to get to ultimately where we all want to go with this football team. And when your leaders are talking like that, saying we haven't done anything yet. Nice win, we did a good job here, but this is a division game. We got to go forward. It starts in the locker room, because as you well know, coaches can say as much as they want, all they want. But unless the leaders of the football team and the entire locker room, embraces that mindset and that culture, then that's what you want as a coach. You want the locker room to embrace that, and because once it becomes the players' team and they embrace that, that's when you've got good football teams. And I believe that's what the Titans have right now.
Wow. Well, we play the Colts, and what's the challenges with the Colts in that both teams are better than they were the time they played before. So now we're going against go forward on 4th down Frank Reich all the time. What do you see as the challenges with the Colts?
Yeah, here's what I see first, Blaine. They've got to flip their mindset, because the last 2 teams that they've played have really been spinning the ball a lot. Now, not to say Indy won't put it in the air, but they're a running football team, and that's what they want to do. And they've got, Nyheim Hines has always given the Titans problems, since I've been back here for 5 seasons broadcasting games, and he's a problem. And Taylor's a special type of back. And plus, Frank Reich wants to run it. And here's the other thing. You've got a quarterback that was not mobile the first time we played him. He's got all his mobility back now. And Michael Pittman Jr. has evolved as a really, really deadly combat catcher, in this league. And so you've got your quarterback. He's got his mobility back. You've got a physical mindset. They've got their all-pro guard back now playing. So the challenge is first of all, it's going to be a physical football game. That's what you have to get yourself ready for during the week, as far as getting your body prepared for that. And then mentally, you've got to recalibrate now, knowing that this is going to really be a slug-it-out-in-your-face game. And then when people do take shots, either us or them, then your combat catchers for your team are going to have to win, and you've got to prevent their combat catcher from winning or from drawing that big penalty down the field. So you've got to flip the script a little bit mentally, getting ready for this group, because, just watching them, I've watched every one of their games, and especially drilled in on, since we played them, and they're healthier now. Their quarterback is more mobile, and they are a more physical football team by nature, just because of what they want to do. Because, look, Kansas City's a really good football team offensively, but they're not running the ball very well. Okay, so everything that you play with them is going to be a matchup space game. But what Indy brings to it, you still have to be able to match up to mobility at the quarterback and to combat catches downfield, but you've got to play the run, because they've got 2 guys that can really hurt you with the run game.
Coach, I always get this question before I give it back to Mickey, and that is, how long do you think, with the injuries, can some of these backups really hold the fort. And I say that because that's kind of what they did when I played, and you never know, 2 to 4 games you feel like before you can kind of see maybe some of the chinks in their armor of what, why they are the backup. So how long do you think you can go and play at this level?
Well, I mean, you hopefully you don't have to do it, for the duration of the season. Because, and here's what you do. And to me, first of all, and I know you think just like this, Blaine, major props to those guys, what they did.
Oh, I love
and
it.
what they've done. Major props. That's hard to do. Some of those guys coming in off the street and then starting. I mean, come on. I mean, in a game of that magnitude, I mean, major props, to those guys, to their coaches for getting them ready, and for them, putting in the work to get ready with their coaches during the week. I mean, that to me, I mean, impressed me a lot because I know how hard that is to do. Now, to your point, what you want to have happen is that now that they've had success doing that, first of all, they've got some more confidence. They're now ingrained into what's going on. So if they continue to have to play because the injuries aren't coming back yet, that they will get better at what they are doing too. But hopefully you can start to get your guys back. And when you do, all that has done for you, all that has done is strengthen your depth. But, as to how long they can do it, I mean, I don't know. It just depends on how long the front line guys are out and how healthy these new guys that we brought in stay.
We're on with former head coach Dave McGinnis giving us the Mac attack.
Coach, you brought this up with Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs. It's like, okay, Derrick Henry's not going to beat us. Let's see if everybody else can, and everybody else did beat the Chiefs pretty handily. What do you see Eberflus doing? How's he going to attack Derrick Henry and attack the Titans' offense?
Well, now he's a four-man rush guy. He's a four-man rush guy. We'll play some zone. We'll play some match cover 3, and he's got a front 4 or a front 6 that they can go after you. All right. I mean, and they, and here's the other thing too. I mean, Darius Leonard is playing really good football right now. I mean, he's a turnover machine right now as far as for their defense. They're one of the better defenses in the league. When I start watching as to purposely punching at balls, trying to get balls out of there, creating turnovers, they've created, quite a few turnovers. But this is a team. Matt Eberflus has always been a guy. Now, he will jam the run up. Sometimes he will put both those defensive tackles in what I call 2-eye for, 2-eye positions, which is outside shoulder of the center, inside shoulder of the guard on either side of the center and walk his backers up. But very seldom does he bring everybody up to the line of scrimmage like we saw last week. So he's got good enough people in that front 7 that he will challenge the run with that before anything else happens, Mickey.
You mentioned Darius Leonard. Let me ask you this. What do you like that you've seen from the Titans' young linebacker, David Long, who just seems to be everywhere every week, Coach?
I love watching a young linebacker develop because coming out of West Virginia, even though he was a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, he rushed a lot at West Virginia. I did extensive work on him for the draft, and they rushed him a lot. I would have done the same thing too if I was coaching because he's got a great GPS to the ball. But what he has learned to do since he has been here, and this takes you have to apply yourself to do it because I've taught enough young linebackers that were see ball, get ball guys in college to be able to do this. I mean, he's gotten to where he can read that center guard triangle. He's gotten to where he understands angles and leverage, playing behind the ball. He's gotten much better in his pattern recognition, in his match coverage. I like the development of this player, but the main thing I like about him is he's active. I mean, he's really active, and you notice him during the game, and then when you start to put the tape on, you start seeing some of the nuances that he's picked up. But I like this player. I like this player a lot because he has gotten better every season that he has been here, and the more reps he gets, the better he gets.
Good stuff. Always love having Coach Mack join us, giving us the Mack attack right now here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Coach, of all the, I guess, reserve players that played, who, I'm not going to say did the best job, who had the hardest job and then they stepped up?
Whoa.
I mean, that's tough there because you tackle.
Well, I think Harson, the tackle did. Yeah. I mean, you come in, all of a sudden, you think you're going to be maybe the fourth guy, and you're no, seriously, you think you're going to warm up, and you're going to warm up, and then maybe you'll have to play. All of a sudden, he's a starting left tackle. So think about that a minute. And then the other thing was, now he's been here, but he hadn't played in a game, and Dylan Radins had to play both guards. Had come in and be able to play both guards and fill in. When the game was on the line, both those guys had to come in, because I never really felt, even though it was 24, we got up to 24, I still wasn't real comfortable, because I know the explosive nature of the Chiefs offense. You've seen them do it before. You saw it do it to Houston, a couple seasons ago in the playoff game. So you can never relax when you've got an offense that they have with the potential of explosives on that side. But those two guys coming in, and especially against that defensive front that was packed in there so tight, you couldn't put a pencil between everybody as far as their splits were. How tight everybody was together in there. I thought both those guys came in and did a great job.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We always give out game balls for the special teams, offense and defense. And we've never asked you that, but, I had 3 offensive guys, so, you can kind of elaborate if you want to. But just give us your offense, defense, and special team guy. I put Kern for special teams, of course.
Yeah, well, as far as, you know how I am. I mean, I'm a coach. Yeah. I'm a coach, so I'm always going to say it's a whole team thing. All right, it's a team. It is a team thing, because AJ doesn't have a great day without the protection, and the quarterback isn't able to get it to AJ unless he's got the protection. So all of that stuff goes together. I think the one thing that you can say that I will point out, and I agree with you on special teams on Kern. That I was asked by the national radio when I went to do a little hit with him before the game, and then Rhett Bryant and Amy Wells in our pregame. Rhett asked the question, "What does Brett Kern coming back to this game possibly mean for the Titans?" And I said, it's going to be a field position game, so anytime that you can lengthen the distance that Kansas City has to go, it's a plus. I said, this guy's the best in the league at it, and he drops 2 in down the chimney inside the 5-yard line with his 2 punts. Are you kidding me? After coming back from COVID and a groin, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, no doubt.
Coach, great stuff. Always love catching up with you, getting the Mac Attack each and every week, and looking forward to this Colts game on Sunday and hearing you and Mike Keith and Rhett and Titans Amy and the whole crew call the game. It's always a party, and we love listening to you.
Guys, always enjoy coming on with you guys. Really enjoy talking ball with you. Happy birthday to Lucas.
Ah, good stuff.
Oh, yes, sir.
He's always in the know there, Coach Mac.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, we'll finish giving out our game balls. Also, if it seems like a lot of guys are getting hurt, that's been a big topic, soft tissue injuries. Interesting nugget from the NFL I'll share just came out about soft tissue injuries. You'll want to hear this.
Yeah, they've been asking. Everybody's been asking. I said it's all over the league. Let's see what the league says now.
Oh, the league is going to tell you something next. Also, the rest of our game ball giveaways. You want to give a game ball away to the Titans, as many as you want. 1, 2, 3. You picked a number. Blaine and Mickey, 615-737-1045, Zone TV chat, or at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter.
J-Mart and Ramon.
Oh, man, we appreciate you, brother. Keep on rolling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Indeed. That's oh, Lord. I just sniped him. Ola, did you snipe him? Ola, you're back. Say what you were saying there at the end.
Hey, man, I wanted to say tighten up, man.
Tomorrow from 6 to 10 on 104.5 The Zone.